This is Lee with 82 Gaming 12 on YouTube channel Sons of Liberty 75. I'm jumping over to Hoplite, Warfare in the Greco-Persian Age. And so I had an individual that requested that I do a Hoplite playthrough, and so that's what I'm going to do here. I had done a little. I guess I call it a practice run here because I haven't played Hoplite in such a long time. And there's a lot of different, no, I can't say a lot, but there's several differences between Hoplite and some of the other great battles of history. And one thing is how you activate your units. You're using activation markers. We're going to use 4 in this battle. And so here's the 4 that will actually be used. So we're going to have the Spartan Momentum and the Spartan Hoplite, the Athenian Momentum and the Athenian Hoplites. That is one of the differences. So instead of using a leader's initiative, that's what you use. And let's see here, gotta find my, okay, here we go. So you also have a difference in looking at the leaders. Okay, you have the overall commander who has charisma, command range, and initiative. Okay, and then you have formation commanders, and they've got capability. It's not called initiative, capability, command range, and then what their command is here. So there's a difference there because you're not using the initiative of leaders. You're using these activation markers, which is going to create some randomness, but you still have the trump, but it's a little bit different. So it's different there too. So you don't have like momentum in the fact that a leader can roll to gain another turn. And another major difference is let's just take 2 units. Let's just take this unit. So we got this Athenian unit here, and then we have a Spartan unit over here. Okay. And so let's say it's the Spartan Hoplite activation markers pulled. And let's pull these down a little bit further so that they're isolated from everything else. And so the Spartan unit is going to move. And of course, you have to roll to see how fast they're moving. Okay, so that's another difference. And so this unit, both units, if usually they're not going to be this close to start. So, usually they're already been assigned these advanced markers. And so you roll to determine that unless they're a special unit that has a red triangle on their counter. And this only has to do with these Hoplite units. So with a trot, you're going to move four hexes. So you have no control over how far, how fast your units are moving, your phalanx units. Okay. So this unit, it's their turn, so they move 1, 2, okay? And so now they're engaged. That's shock combat. Normally, you would put a shock must check. But with this volume, the attacker gets an advantage, okay? And the reasoning the designers gave was that these units that are moving into the attack are already committed. So there's no need for them to check to see how they're going to go into the combat. They're committed because they're moving into the combat. The defender still has to roll because they're saying that they now have to react to being attacked. So they have to determine how resilient they're going to be, or if they're beginning to break, that they're thinking about, oh, let's get out of here. So that's a big difference from the other volumes. As we come across anything else, I'll be sure and point that out. But I brought up the red triangle. So here's a unit. It's a Spartan unit. And with that red triangle, there's certain advantages or benefits that this unit will have that other units don't. And it has mostly to do with movement, maneuvering. So I think all of it has to do with maneuvering. So let's go ahead and just talk about that before I reset this up, and I'll stop the camera and then restart when I get to that point. But I wish that they had somewhere in the charts, and these are, the charts are what you get from, back up some more here. Nice charts. They're heavy stock. So, and they're colorful and easy to read. And it's large, mostly pretty large writing, or print. I shouldn't say writing, print. And so this is actually copyright 2024. So this is the second edition. And so you have that, and then you have the other one. Of course, this is the standard charts. Of course, you have the simple. I'll get that light up. I don't understand why. Well, I do understand, but it's just a pain. And I might see that one's even doing it too. I have to turn this one off. Let's see what that does. No, we gotta have that light. Okay. So I can get away from that by closing it up a little bit. So even in the rule book, they don't put all of these special rules for this triangle marked unit, this Spartan unit. They don't put it in the rule book altogether. So in my opinion, they should have, right here where it says special units and rules, they could have listed them all, but they didn't. It's not there. So what you have to do is you have to flip through here and find them. And they're like they didn't highlight them. So I did. What I did was I underlined it in red and then put a triangle, triangle out here in the side column. And so, it says a Spartan hoplite is assigned trot as its rate without any die roll. And then, of course, there's, it's under certain conditions. But, okay, so that's one. Okay. Then we have, on this page, we've got two. Okay. Spartan hoplites, though they must be given a move order, may expend some, none, or all of their movement. However, any movement must be in the direction of the enemy. So they don't have to necessarily move 4 hexes in trot. They can move 1, they can move 0, and so then we have this one here. This rule does not apply to Spartan hoplites, the Theban mass phalanx, nor to units in column or square formation. And what does this have to do with? The drift to the right. Okay, whenever hoplite units move a second time in a game turn. Okay, so it's not when they move the first time in a game turn, but the second time. That's the only time the drift to the right's going to apply. So the Spartan hoplites don't have to drift to the right. Okay, then we move over to this here. Okay, which has to do with front to flank maneuver. Okay, the 1 cohesion hit per hex entered does not apply to Spartan hoplite phalanxes. Other hoplite phalanxes, when they wheel, I call that wheeling, it's front to flank maneuver. For each hex that they move like that, then they're going to take a cohesion hit. So, and then with the wheeling maneuver, and this has to do with when you have an enemy unit, okay, then when the hoplite phalanx wheels to kind of like, it's basically they're getting into the flank of the opponent, but when they wheel like that, they're locked in, you got somebody in their front hex, and they've got an open hex, so they wheel. Okay, let's see if there's here's a picture of that, but it doesn't show the enemy. So with that, okay, so because of the difficulty in performing such a wheeling maneuver, the unit incurs a 1 cohesion hit, except for the Spartan hoplites. Okay, and then after completing the pivot, the player performs a TQ check. If the die roll is higher than the unit's TQ, the unit incurs cohesion hits equal to the difference, unless the enemy is a skirmisher. So that's just another, Spartans being professional soldiers, they would, have trained these different maneuvers. And so they don't have those penalties. And all of those rules, let me see I don't know if there's any more. If I come across any more, I'll mark them and so forth. But I don't know if in the first edition they had that somewhere. Maybe not. But it would have been just nice to have all of that in one location. And to me, it should have been back here where you had the special units, 9.0. And it would have been nice to have it back there. They talk about skirmishers and so forth. And then you also have the Theban, you know, the a Theban double depth and massed phalanx. So, you know, you got the mass phalanx, and you have the double depth, of which you also have with Alexander the Great, with Philip, and I guess Alexander can do it too. They can double their phalanxes to basically have like 12 or 16. So that's some of the, I guess, major differences, which is going to cause, you know, a little bit of maybe a bit of a shock to other Great Battles of History gamers, because, you know, you got these rule changes. So there's different things with different volumes, and so it's not really that big of a deal. But you just have to know that, hey, this is going to play a little different. So it's got the chit pull. Now, something else I want to talk about before I get started. Okay. And this is a GMT, and designed by Richard Berg and Mark Herman. Has to do with these two books. Okay. So you've got The Great Battles of the Classical Greek World by Owen Rees, and it's a pen and sword published book. So this is, don't pay attention to that. Pen and sword military. Okay. And I believe that's 2024, I believe. And if you're going to have Hoplite, the game, this is really a great book to have. And the reason is because there's so many of these battles, okay, in this game that are going to be in here. So I'll just show you. You got Plataea, you got Cunaxa, and then over here, you know, Nemea, Cornea, Leuctra, Mantinea. So there's a lot of really good information and diagrams on these different battles. There's Cornea. So, and there's the diagrams for the battle. It's a great source for the gamers. Now, the battle that we're going to do in this video, Tanagra, okay, is not in that book. And Tanagra is one of the battles at the beginning of the Peloponnesian War. We have Spartan versus Athens. Okay. Now, the other book that I think really you need or should get is the Greek Hoplite Phalanx, the Iconic Heavy Infantry of Classical Greece by Richard Taylor. It's a pen and sword military published book. And I think 2016, I think. Well, okay, first published in Great Britain, 2021. So now this book is going to debunk the entire theory of how hoplites fought. So it's going to dismantle this whole idea that it was a big shoving match. And I agree with Richard Taylor on this, which is going to conflict with some of the rules in this game. and the ideas. But Richard Taylor really explains in detail how he is debunking this whole idea of the rugby scrum idea. And maybe we'll talk more about it as we go along. The other thing is that this book is going to give you information about the battles, how they fought. It's going to talk about organization and drill. It's going to talk about what the phalanx is, what a hoplite was, so forth, and also about how they actually fought with their spears. And if you look at a lot of the vases or vases, you know, they were holding their spears overhead. And even the statues that have been discovered are holding their spears like this. They're not holding their spears in an underhand fashion, but an overhand where they can jab. Okay, underhand, there's not a lot of jabbing. You can't, it's difficult to jab because when you pull your spear back, you're going to be hitting the guys behind you. But overhead, and you hold it up, well, the back end of it's going to be up higher than the front end because you're going to be jabbing down. You're not jabbing up. So you're not going to be hitting the guy behind you. Your spear's going to be going like this overhead as it comes down, like that action. So, and you can just go and look at online. You can find all kinds of Greek art, whether it be on vases or other things, and it's showing predominantly you're going to find the overhead hold of the spear. But this is a great book. And so if you want to really take a scholarly look at how hoplites fought and how they were organized and so forth, you need that book. And you could get it on Amazon, or you can get it at a used bookstore. I got mine at Half Priced Books. We have Half Priced Books here in Texas, and they're also in Oklahoma. So, but both of those books are, in my opinion, as a former history teacher, a great addition to the game. And that's something that I usually do, is I purchase books related to a game so that I can better understand, what happened and how it happened and why it happened. So, if you're going to play a battle, you need to know what the historical outcome was and why. You need to know how did the battle play out. Now, with a lot of these, ancient battles, we don't have a lot of information. The information we have is from Thucydides, and he was writing a lot of these battles. He was writing well after the battle took place. A long time after the battle took place. So he was using information that had been passed down. Well, when information is passed down, we know, hey, it changes. It's not always going to be exactly told like it was. Plus, you have biases. One side won. Well, they're going to tell their side, and make their victory more glorious and so forth. So we don't have a lot of information, or we don't have several historians you know, telling us what happened and so forth. Um, so we just have to go by what we have, and then kind of look at it and examine things and decide, well, is this really what happened? Is this how it was done? So forth. Um, so this is a Spartan and allies versus Athens and allies battle. And so I'm going to set it up, and we're going to get started. There were some things that through my initial playthrough that I was doing incorrectly, and I thought, well, I need to, just to make sure that I'm doing all of this right before I just put it on video, and then I've got to like do all this editing and tell y'all, oh, well, this I did wrong, and this I want to make sure I'm doing stuff right. So I did a little playthrough just to say, okay, am I doing the rules right and everything? So we're going to set it all up, talk about the battle, and then we're going to get started. This is probably not going to be one of those playthroughs where I've got 40 videos. I'm still got first victories, glory and empire, still got that going. And I don't know how many videos that's been. I didn't number them, so I just have it by turn. Maybe I should have numbered it, but there it is. So I'm going to stop, set it up, and then we'll get back going. Okay, so we got it set up. This is the activation markers. And so this is the way they've got it set up here. They've got them a little further apart, but they give you a little bit of leeway in where you set them up. So if we look at the historical background information here, Tanagra was a typical battle fight in the 5th century BC before the Spartan invasions, wherein both sides simply pushed and shoved at each other. Now, that's being debunked in that book. The phalanx ranks were most likely at depths of 6 to 8. Spartans were the only professional soldiers. So it was part of the initial war between Athens and Sparta. The battle was fought at Tanagra and Boeotia. The Athenians were joined by cavalry from their Thessalian allies, but these went over to the Spartans during the battle, according to Thucydides. And so he's got the Athenians and their allies at about 14,000, not including the cavalry, which was small. The allied Spartan army, led by Nicomedes, or Nicomedes, consisted of 1,500 Spartans and then 10,000 allied soldiers. So we're looking at 11,500. So, and of course the Thessalian cavalry, according to Thucydides, defected and went over to the Spartans. So, said it was heavy losses on both sides. Spartan declared victory, and so the Lacedaemonians then returned across the isthmus. So, says that there's no real favorite in the play balance. So in the play balance, no real favorite. Said it takes about 2 hours. A little information about the battle, besides what we get from Thucydides. There's not any skirmishers or light infantry. So, okay, so special rules. The Spartan player has initiative on the first turn, And then we've got the Thessalian cavalry. And so there's no activation marker for the cavalry, so you have to use the momentum. And when you do that, only the cavalry are going to be the ones moving and so forth under that activation. So it says these units may disengage and rally using the Athenian or Spartan overall commander. And they're in command. There's no leader necessary. So in order to flip, okay, the cavalry over to the Spartans, the Spartan player has to use the momentum activation marker. And so they roll a die. If it's 6 to 9, the cavalry flips. If it's 0 to 5, nothing happens and wasted the momentum. And the Athenian player is not able to reflip or recover the cavalry. Once they join the Spartan side, that's where they stay. And whoever side they're on, they are applied to their route points. So if they are eliminated, then they count toward whoever's side is controlling them at the time. So the Athenian army has a withdrawal when they reach 45 route points. Spartans withdraw when they reach 35. So there that is, and we're ready to get started. I got my little cup here. Turn 1. And so the Spartans get to go first. So they get to pick which marker they want to use, which is, there's not much there to really think about. So they're going to use their momentum. We'll throw that one back in the cup. So they want to try to flip the cavalry immediately. So we roll the dice, and we get a 5. And that, of course, is not going to flip them. You got to get a 6 through 9, I think. Let me just make sure here. Make sure I got that right. Yeah. 0 to 5, nothing happens. 6 to 9, they flip. So that's been wasted, basically. So we set that off to the side. Put it over here. And so now we draw. And we have the Athenians' momentum. Okay. And this is where they can use the cavalry if they so desire. So they want to do that. They want to position the cavalry so that it can attack maybe routed units. But the thing is, okay, when a hoplite unit routes, if they're not rallied in the turn that they're routing, they just disappear. They're gone. They're eliminated. So, but you can still use them to attack those routed units and get them off so that they don't have a chance to rally. So, this light cavalry is going to move 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then turn. So 8. That was 8. And then on this side, same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then turn 8. And it does cost a movement point to turn. And the thing about this light cavalry, okay, if we look at the special units, okay, 9.0, okay, 24, and we flip over to the other page, which is 25, and we take a look here. See if I can get the light in here. Okay, so light cavalry, non-archer light cavalry, are shot capable, but have certain limitations when involved in shot combat with hoplite, heavy, or medium infantry. A light cavalry attacker that gains position superiority over any of the above types is not considered attack superior in that combat. Treated as normal superiority. So even when they attack flank or rear, they're not getting that attacker superior. When a light cavalry is attacking type, half, rounding down, the cohesion hits inflicted on the defending units. Okay, now, the above two bullets do not apply if the defender is routed. So, they're not good at shot combat. So they can chase down routed units. It talks about they can be useful when attacking flank rear attacks against shaken heavy units. Well, shaken. What's shaken? We don't have a shaken marker. We don't have morale. So I don't understand what that's shaken. If it's something that they had thought about and they just forgot to. I don't know what the shaken. There is no shaken heavy units, unless they're talking about units that have already taken multiple cohesion hits, okay? And they're just like one away from, routing. I guess that would be considered shaken. They need to define that. I mean, yeah, define it. I don't think it's even in the glossary here. Shaken. No, it's not. So they use that term, but yet they don't explain what the term means, shaken. Okay. And they may say, well, you should know. No. In different games, shaken is something else. You got a marker for shaken. What does shaken mean? I know I'm just being difficult, I guess. Now, the other thing is I have to flip these guys over because they've moved. So with these counters, okay, you've got, I don't know if you can see really. Okay, so there's the front side. And then on the back side, there's a light line that goes across the bottom. Okay, it's shaded a little bit different than a little lighter shade than the counter. Okay, the main background. So, there we go. And with so few counters, I don't really mess with that. You can also use these moved counters. I don't like doing a lot of counter flipping, and but for this video, I guess I'll try to adhere to flipping the counters or using these moved markers. So if some of the counters have a moved marker and some of them don't, it's easier to see the moved counter than it is to see the shading in this video. That's difficult to tell unless I get closer, and I will get closer, but it's just difficult to tell exactly whether or not that's a moved unit or fresh unit. All right, so this momentum's over. So, you could say, well, it's kind of wasted, but it's also getting that cavalry out away. So if they flip, they're not in a position to attack routed units. And the whole idea is to move them again and get them on the far end of the board so that if they do flip, they then have to be, the Spartan player then has to use momentums to move them in a position to do anything. So there's a little strategy there involved in thinking, okay, eventually that cavalry is going to flip. Okay, if the Spartan player wastes or uses that momentum. So, all right. So we have the next chit. I think I'm going to get a different cup for this. Something that's a little smoother. This is like, I think, going to damage my markers with this felt. I've got lots of cups, so I've got something here I can use. All right, so we got the Athens Hoplite marker. Now, there's some strategy involved in this initial movement, because you want to be in a position to be attacking. Because if you're moving an attack, you don't have to roll for that TQ check. And your opponent will have to roll. So, I moved these units up. They could have been started, you can have them start all the way back to like, let's see, 52. I think they can go all the way back to 57, which is, way back here. I'd have to pull the camera back some more just so you can see, so they could have been all the way back to here. And the Spartans, let's see here. Seems like my everything's kind of cockeyed or something here. Okay. Spartans could have started as far back as like 39 back here, so the Spartans could have started here. And, the Athenians could have started there. So if we back up, here we are. So that we could have started here and here. And so we would have spent, several turns just moving. And I decided, well, let's just move them up to the closest place and go from there instead of, just wasting time moving, which would allow multiple turn opportunities for the Spartan player to flip those cavalry. So, okay, let me get this cup that I'm talking about, or I could just use. Is that easy to reach into? Yeah, that's pretty easy. But I've got cups here, or even other things that I can use. I'll just use this. I'll just use a prescription bottle that I have. I can't see inside of it. I mean, I could if I tilted it up, but there we go. So, it's right now, let's close back up. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, whoever moves first, more than likely, is going to put their hoplites in a position to get slammed into, according to the way the mechanics are here. Okay. So this was the move. The whole advance rule, okay, to combat was something that I really struggled with when I got this originally. I got it when it first came out. And I played, I think, most of the battles. There might not even be some videos somewhere out there of, those playthroughs that I posted. So I don't know where they would be. Before I got banned from Board Game Geek, I had some, I think I probably had some on there. But I just did not agree with that. And also just the whole premise of the slamming and the shoving match that, that a lot of historians had agreed to supporting. You don't see that in the art, the Greek art that we have from the vases and other items that depict the Greeks fighting. whether it be the Persians or whoever it may be. So Hoplite versus Hoplite, I think they approached, the thing is, okay, you're in a formed fighting position. Okay. If you trot or run, you are going to get out of formation. You cannot stay in that tight formation running or trotting. What happens if someone falls down? Well, have you watched NASCAR? Now, do you want that to occur? And you be part of that group? Because by the time you get reorganized, you're going to be dead because your opponent's going to be right on top of you. So the whole idea of the running and the trotting and anything other than a walk, a brisk walk, doesn't make sense. It was be a march. You look on these. They have a. Let's see. I think even this image that I showed earlier, you've got a flute player or a lyre or whatever they call it. Okay, let me find that. Okay. Let's see if I can find that. Why do you think that person was there? Just to play some happy music as they going to fight? It's like a drummer. You think about the Napoleonic period, so forth. Okay, I'm going to show you right here. Who is this? What is that? What's he doing? What's he doing? He's got something sticking up. If you look close, he's playing it. He's got something he's playing there. You know what that's for? To help the soldiers, okay, the guys here, okay, stay in step. So it's like a cadence. It's like the military today. Right, left, that kind of stuff. And they sing the little song as they march along, okay? So you could you could probably do a little like a trot like that, to move, but not when you're going into attack, because you don't want to slam into these people and then fall down. So that's one of the reasons I struggled, and I got rid of the game. I just don't agree with a lot of that. And I even okay, I'll just do my own house rules, and I don't know. I just kind of oh heck, I can create my own counters and all of that, but I haven't changed my mind about it. It's just okay. I just look at it a little different. I just don't visualize it as them slamming into each other and all that. It's more of a approach, and then getting close enough to stab at someone. So I see these guys moving at a uniform pace and not running and doing that to, you're not going to go at a full run, because your formation is gone. And the whole purpose of having the phalanx is to stay together in a pack. It's like the French columns when they went into attack. Okay, one thing is, when you're packed in there like that, okay, certain guys can't get away. So you put the guys that are kind of like iffy, put them in the middle. They can't get it. They can't go anywhere. The guy behind them can push them in to the fight if necessary. But if everybody in the group, you got the back pushing the front, the guys that's in front. The guys in the very front and the guys in the middle are gonna get crushed, and they're not gonna be able to use their weapons. So they're kind of a useless little mass. And if the other side's doing the same thing and you're just pushing back and forth, then, what's being accomplished? The whole purpose is to kill enough people or wound enough people that they decide they want to get out of there. It's not to get up there and push back and forth. And, you're just going to, one group may get pushed down and, but I don't think that's, if you read Taylor's book, you're going to come and agree with me that the scrum, the rugby match didn't happen. So, anyways, but the strategy is if the Athenians move, and the furthest they can move if they run is 5 hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, they run out to here or reach there, then what's left in here? Well, the Spartan hoplites. So the Spartan hoplites are going to move, and guess what? They're going to get the added advantage of not having to roll for TQ check because they're the ones moving. Even though these units moved, okay, but they had moved, and then, like when you run, you get to a point where you got to stop and catch a breath, okay? Well, if that's where this whole idea of running and trotting and all that, where you're having to roll and they're just rushing up there, is some guys are not going to have the same endurance because, like they say, these are citizen soldiers. They're farmers. So, and yeah, they're probably in better shape than we are, but I mean, hey, some guys run faster and some guys can run longer than other guys, whether you're in shape or not. So you're just going to have a big mass. There's not any uniformity, and that's the whole purpose. The whole purpose of the phalanx was to stay together and protect each other. And if you're running or trotting, that's gone. So it's a defensive position, okay, formation, I should say, that would attack together, but it had its weaknesses. And one of the weaknesses is you're not able to run and stay together. Think about the Napoleonic square. I don't see any rule, okay, in any game allowing the square to move more than one hex in a turn, whether it be 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever the time frame is, okay, for tactical. That they don't give the square, which they're facing different directions. You can say, well, they're facing different directions. But they can all turn to face the same direction when they move. Duh. And they would. And they did move. But did they trot and run? No. They might move at a fast pace, and the drummer would, of course, set that pace, just like the flute, lyre, whatever the instrument was that the Greeks had, would do the same thing. So I'm going to stick with what the rules say, but if I'm playing just for myself, I'm moving these units, at their movement rate or less. I'm not, what you can say, okay, they've got to move their full movement. And I can see where, okay, the rolling to see how far they go, it could be there because you have one group that's more excited about the conflict than another group. And so you have maybe these groups back here, they're not wanting to face those top-rated hoplite units because these armies would place their best units on their right. That was the position of honor. And so the guys that are on the left here are not thought to be warriors. And they're facing the best of the Spartans. And so they're not going to be in a hurry to get over there. So they might move at a slower pace. And this was even a tactic later on that you had leaders use. So they would advance here and keep these guys still. So you have the echelon movement, okay, where these guys don't move as fast as the guys on the right. And the whole purpose is you want to defeat one end of the line so then you can turn and attack the rear and the flank. That's what happened in these battles. So the right would advance and destroy the opponent's left or cause them to run away, which would happen. And then they would turn and they would just work their way. And so eventually you would have the best of the best, a lot of times meeting in the middle. And sometimes, by the time that happened, this bunch down here might already be, deciding to make a run for it because now they're outnumbered. So even though the Spartans really weren't too much on surrendering or routing, you remember the movie 300. They want to come back, and it's a quote about coming home on your shield or not coming home at all. So you couldn't be a coward, you couldn't run away. So but we don't have that. This is just a game. So the Athenians have to decide here. And the leader, let's see, I gotta see if I get his name right. Myronides. Nicomedes and Myronides. Myronides is the Athenian leader. And so he would possibly hold and wait until he could use, the hoplite and the momentum, see? So he's going to hold. He's not going to move. So then we have the last one, which is the hoplite. And the hoplites are going to do the same thing. They're not going to move. They want to wait so that they have the opportunity to possibly use both markers back to back. Okay? Now, that's the player. Really, the general, he's not thinking, okay, I've got a momentum and I have my activation marker for my Spartans. No, he's thinking, okay, they're not moving. We moved up close enough that now we are both ready to take advantage of the other side making too early of an advance. They're not close enough to actually strike. So, and if I had started further back, but the thing is, once you start moving, okay, according to the rules, you can't stop. You just got to keep moving until you reach the enemy. Now, see, I think they could stop, because they're not moving at a run or a trot historically. Because again, that it takes away the whole formation advantage. So, if I'm talking loud, I don't have my hearing aids in, so I don't realize it. All right, so here we go. And it's very key that you want to be the attacker. You want to have moved and attacked in this volume with your hoplites. Because if they move and attack, they don't have to roll for that TQ. So turn 2, and it's the Athenian hoplites. So now they want to go ahead and advance because they're thinking, okay, we have an opportunity here. Or they could say, hey, I'm going to hold again because we would prefer that the Spartans move first. And, that could be. Or the Athenians could say, okay, I'm just hoping that the next chit pull is going to be the Athenian momentum. So I'm going to go ahead and move the Athenians. And so we've got to roll up and down the line to see, what they're, and this is this chart here. So the first time that a hoplite unit moves, phalanx moves, you have to roll this and determine what their rate of advance is. And one thing is if you're running, then the rules give you a +2 because of that, they run into the other opponent. And, I don't agree with that. But we're going to follow the rules anyways. Okay? Whether or not I agree with the whole running and trotting business or not, we're going to play the rules so that you, the gamer, can see it all played out correctly. And you can play it however you want. It's, it's your game. You have it at the house. You can house rule it. You can say, okay, we're not going to use the hoplite advance. If you read Richard Taylor's book, you're probably going to be like, well, I don't want to use that. Now you could say, okay, they just have to move forward. You could get a 4-sided dice and just roll that, and just they're going to move, that many hexes. So that kind of takes away your complete control of each unit. So, different ways to do that. So, but we're going to follow the rules. And so, we're rolling for each one. Now, I could just roll a whole bunch of 10-sided dice and just assign them as I go, but I'm just going to do it this way. So, a 4 is going to be a trot. So, we will move this unit here 4, and we don't have to worry about the drift to the right because this is their first move. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have that marker. Okay, a 6 is still a trot. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And really, I should start on the right. And I'm going to move over there because it was the right that would move first. They're going to, because that's the side with the best of the best. These others, they want to hang back as much as they can. But with this die roll, of course, they're going to go according to whatever we roll. So let's go over here to the right. And I rolled a 7, which is going to be a run. So they want to try to get around and flank the units. So that's why you got that movement to the right, but also because you want to stay, you're moving to the right to stay behind the shield of the man next to you. So here we're moving 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they've got the run marker. Now here we got a 2. Okay. And here with this leader, if I was gaming it, if I was playing by myself, I would use his initiative to either increase the die roll or decrease it. Okay. But a 2 is going to be a trot. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And we put a trot there. So we know what their movement was. Next, we got a 3, which is going to be a trot. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the thing about what you want to do is you want to start on the right, is because as the phalanx, they would drift to the right. So if I start on the left, you're going to have, probably you're going to have, the group's not going to stay together like they should. There's going to end up being a gap because they would all move to the right trying to outflank their opponent. Okay, which puts the left side really at a disadvantage, and they don't want to get up there. They don't want to. They want to wait until the other side, the other end of the line, has engaged the enemy, so that they're hoping that their right will destroy the opponent's left, and then start putting pressure on, the guys over here that they're facing. So, all right, another trot. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a trot. Ooh, a 9. That's going to be a run. There's a run marker. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they have to decide if they go this way or they go that way. And I think they would go to the right because they want to stay close. 8. Okay, that's also a run. So they're going to be right there. Oh, another run. Okay. So the guys in the middle have just kind of got really invigorated about this fight. And there's a 6 trot. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, they're going to move over there. And this right here, look at this. There's a big gap there. See, I should have started on the right. A 0, oh, that's going to be a walk. 1, 2, 3. So right there, see, we've already got an issue there. And I should have started on the right. That would have been the correct procedure. And I don't know, it seems like to me they would have that rule that, you're the first move, you should, you have to move the men on the right before you move the men on the left. So you start on the right and move down the line. But hey, all right. So now what I've got to do here is I got to flip all these guys over, or I have to put a moved marker. And I don't really like doing a lot of counter flipping. It's easier just to have the little counters that you put on and you just pull them off. But, so that's 2 different ways you can do that. All right. So, that activation's over. Ta-da! Now, if the Spartans get either one of their chits, and guess what? It's the Spartan Hoplite activation. So they're going to be able to slam into the Athenians. Okay, so here we go. And I don't have to roll down here. This is that special unit with the triangle, red triangle. They can move however they want. Okay, now if I was wanting them to run, I'd have to roll to see if they run. Okay, I can't automatically make them run. So, because they only have a movement of 4. So you have to roll to get the run. So they're going to move 4. So 1, 2, 3. Boom, they slam into these guys. Okay, I flip them over since they moved. And then I put a TQ check. Okay. Let's turn it this way. Shock, no TQ check. And they were trotting. That's what I moved them at. All right, so the next one got a 9. So they're going to run. Okay. And they run right here. So they just go 1, 2, 3. And they're on the run. Of course, we flip them over. And we put a TQ check. No check. Now that's for the attacker. Now the defender's going to have to check. So another 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's flip them over. What I say, they're running. TQ check, no. Shot, no check. And they got to walk, so they're still going to be able to reach, I think. 1, 2, and then 3. So yes. And they have a walk, though. Now, do I need to put these out now? No, because it's only on the initial move. But I have them so that if we have a run, they get that +2. So, but the rest of them, I don't need to worry about putting that back out there, because it's only on the initial until they actually come in contact. Once they come in contact, all of that's going away. So I can actually remove all of them on this side once they have a unit that they're in contact with. 3 is going to be a trot. Okay. 1, 2. And I still have to flip them over to signify that they moved. And so we have a shot, no check. So we can remove these things here. Okay, the next one is a 0, so that's going to be a walk, but we're still close enough that, and see that he could have moved to here, but he wants to keep his flank closed. So he doesn't want to open up his flank, and so these units are going to be moving to the right. 3 is a trot. 1, 2, flip him over. Shot, no check. 6, 1. Now he comes to there. He's trying to move. Now he's supposed to move. So you got one side. So if he goes to here, that side, it would have somebody attack. Now this side here, in order for them, they would keep going. They're not just going to stop there. So if that was to happen, then they would do this. According to, what they're implying on the rules. The only other thing for them to do, instead of going to the right to stay, keep the flank closed, which that's what these guys would be wanting to do. They're not wanting, these guys over here are wanting to just go straight ahead. But so they go there, and then the other side is going to wheel or perform, not really, they're performing a flank to front movement, and they take a cohesion hit, like that. And we have this shot, no check. The only other way to do that is to, say that, we just do this, is we just go 1, and then they would move away, which I don't think they're going to move away. They want to stay close to that unit. So I don't think I don't know if they thought about that kind of stuff. But that's what I'm going to do. Which really puts them at a disadvantage because, number one, they were outnumbered. So of course their line is that they're going to get, enveloped unless they held back. And they would probably hold back. But we roll the dice and we just have to go with it. We get a 0, so they're doing but they would also do the same thing. They're going to come right here and try to get into this flank. So they would go to right there. And they were at a walk, but I don't have to put that. So let's flip these guys over. This guy here. Okay, so shot, no check. And see, so now they're exposed, but there's nothing else they could do about it. Okay, because the guys to their right are all going to the right, and so is everybody in the line. The only guys that are worried are the guys on the outside over here. And they're thinking, oh, no. They wouldn't be saying, oh, no. They'd be saying something else. So, that's what it looks like right here. So now what we have to do is we have to go up and down the line with the shock TQ checks. Now, the attackers won't have to roll, but the defenders do. Now, right here, this front to flank, I didn't have to roll a TQ check because it wasn't the wheeling. Well, I guess you could say it was wheeling. Let's see. Let me look at that. But I think it's only after combat. Let's see, the wheeling. After you're already engaged or you're already in contact. So, well, I guess you could say, well, they were in contact. So maybe I should roll. Okay, so it says if one half of the Hoplite phalanx has an enemy unit in its front hex and the other half does not, that other half may move adjacent to the enemy unit using the front to flank maneuver. However, because of the difficulty in forming such a wheeling maneuver, the unit incurs 1 cohesion hit. And then, after completing the pivot, so I would have to roll. So this unit's got to roll. And they rolled a 5, which is less than their TQ. And another thing is, okay, so when a unit takes a TQ hit, does that lower their overall TQ so that when you roll the dice, you would have to roll 5 or less? Is that how it's done? Or are you rolling against just the base number? So a unit that has weakened is still going to have the resilience of what they had to start with. Or, I know there's the rule about if you're any unit that has TQ hits that are, triple, than any of the other that they will rout. And I don't remember. I guess I don't remember ever using that rule before when I played these. I've played more Alexander the Great. I played a lot of Tyrant in years ago. So, and I just recently gotten in kind of interested in, the last few years in SPQR and then, Julius Caesar but let's see if I can find that. Where did I see that at? Was it in this game or it could have been? I read a lot of different rules. So, might have been thinking about a different rules. So yeah, I guess they maintain their original TQ quality, even when they've taken losses. So the only time your TQ rating changes is if you're routing, then it's just a 1. So, all right. So they passed. All right, so basically identifying the shock combat. So what we have over here, we have this unit here, this unit's here, this unit here, this unit's attacking here, this unit's attacking here, this unit's attacking here, this unit is attacking here, this unit is attacking here with this unit. This unit is attacking here and here. So they're attacking these two. All right. So we'll just start down here on the end. And remember, we're only rolling for the Athenians because the other units moved into the attack. And so they don't have to check their TQ. Okay. So let's start here. 3 passed. Next. 7. So that means they take 2 hits. And we can remove these things here. So they got 2 hits. 6. Okay, fine. Next. 6. Next one. 2. They're fine. Let's go down here to the last few here. 6. They're okay. 6. They're okay. Well, they're doing some good rolling here. 2. And then the last one down here. 1. Okay, so now we can remove that. Get this clutter away. All right. So we'll go ahead and start down here. Okay, so we have Hoplite versus Hoplite. Okay. But we do have to roll for this leader in the combat to see if they are wounded. 1, no. All right, so we have Hoplite versus Hoplite, so that's going to be on the 7 chart. There is no shock superiority, and so the comparative weapon system, Hoplite versus Hoplite, is going to be on the 7 column. And we're not going to have any modifiers except for the leader. And since he's the overall commander, normally you would just get a +1 or -1. But with the overall commander, you get to use whatever their charisma rating is. And so the charisma rating is this number that's in, I think it's yellow. Yeah. Yellow number in a black square. Okay. This number here. So, Nasomedes or Medes gets a +2. So here we go. All right, so we rolled a 3, which becomes a 5, which is going to be 2 apiece. So each side takes 2. Okay. Next. Okay, just flat out on the 7 column. And that's going to be 2 and 3. So the defenders takes, oh, wait a minute, we got to run. So that's a +2, so that becomes a 10. Okay, so that's 1 and 4. So they take 4 hits and only 1 here. And the other thing is, we have these engaged markers we have to put, and you're supposed to put 2, 1 on each, but I just put the engaged marker across. And I can see where, but the thing is, if one counter's engaged, the other counter has to be engaged, right? Okay, so we move to, let's get a little closer. We can see the troop quality on these guys. All right, so there, I rolled a 9. They're running, so that becomes an 11. So that's going to be 1 and 4. So 4 to the defender and only 1 on the attacker. All right. Next. A 4 is going to be 2 and 2. Two and 2. Next. 9. That's going to be 2 and 4. Next. 8. 2 and 3. Okay. Now, we move to this one. Okay. So we've got 2 attackers. And we also have the position. We're in the flank. So that's going to be double hits on the defender. And since we have an advantage in numbers, it's going to be 2 columns to the right, which instead of 7, we're going to be on the 9 column. So 7 with 9, that would be 2 and 3, but it's going to be double on the defender. So 2 is going to be 2 and 6. So that unit, I don't even have to put it out there, is going to route. So we're going to turn it, but we don't route it. We don't route move it yet. So, and then we have to I just pour both of these out. We split the hits on the attackers. So he takes 1 and he takes 1. All right, so now we move to, let's see. So now here we have two defenders. So he's outnumbered. And so we're going to go two column shift to the left on this one. So instead of being on the 5, he's going to be on the 7. And we rolled a 5. He's going to be on the 5. We rolled a 5. So that's still 2 and 2. So he takes 2. And each one of these guys take 2. Or a total of, there's just a total of 2. So this unit here will be at 1. And the other unit will be at 3. Because he already had 2. Okay, so we have that. And so now, let's pull back so we can see everybody. There's that cavalry unit over there. We can barely see those cavalry units waiting to pounce on anybody that's routing. Now, for a, you would do the route moves before you actually check for the collapse of units that are close. But with a Hoplite phalanx unit, okay, they just don't automatically route unless they're being attacked in a flank. So for a Hoplite phalanx, the owing player usually will roll a die, adding that to the die roll the number of cohesion hits the unit has incurred in excess of its TQ. An additional +2 if the unit was the attacker. If it's higher than the unit's TQ, the unit routes. Otherwise, the unit does not route but stands in place. However, if the unit was stands in place with a TQ at -1, so that unit would have 5 TQ hits. But if the unit was a defender and the attacker had position superiority, the preceding die roll is not made. The unit route moves. So we don't roll. Normally you would roll when they reach their TQ or more. And so that's why you would need to keep a number on them instead of just putting the route marker. And so that unit took exactly 6 hits. So I would have this here. Because if he was not there in that flank, this unit could roll to see if it stands. But since it's being attacked in the flank, we don't roll. It just automatically routes. And so they would move back 2. 1, 2. Okay. And now, before we do anything else, we check to see if anyone is close to collapsing. So that would be units that have 1 less than their TQ. And of course, we don't have any. And so now we have units that can advance. Okay. And so what we have here is we've got this hex and this hex. Okay. And so this unit here is going to wheel. This unit's going to wheel. So he wheels to there. And he's going to take at least 1 cohesion hit. But we roll to see. So roll a 4. So, okay, he's going to take another cohesion hit. Now this unit wheels. And I rolled a 9. Okay. Which is 3 above what their cohesion is. Well, it's not above. It's just 1 less. So they're at 5. Now, I don't think I have to check on the advance after combat. Let's see. I think they have to roll. They may have to roll to see if they... I know there's something here about... Okay, so it just says that if advancing unit incurs cohesion hits such that it would route, ignore the excess hits and set its total hits equal to the unit's TQ -1. So we don't have to, that's where it's at. So that's what we have. So looking across there, the Spartans were able to really punish the Athenians. And it all had to do with, I think, well, it does, because one thing is, as the attacker, you're not having to roll that TQ check. And even though most of these units passed, it's still that they had to make the roll. So, and then of course I have to put engaged markers across here on these units. Now, this unit is not engaged because they did not attack this unit. But those units are engaged, so he's not actually engaged with that unit. This unit is engaged here. Although, let's see. And this guy's not engaged. These two guys are engaged. These two guys are engaged. Not to be married, but to continue fighting. Right there. All right. So that's the end of that momentum, or that activation marker, that activation. Next, oh, we got the Spartan momentum again. So the Spartans will be attacking. And here we got, this is going to be a shock must check. And right here, this will be a shock must check. Because now neither one of those units are moving, and yet they're attacking. So they've got to determine whether or not, you know, they're all in or so forth. But the rest of these units, they're engaged. So there's no TQ check. They just continue fighting. So let's get back into it. And let's start over here first. So let's move this engage marker. All right, so we've got 7 again on the chart here. We're on the CTR column 7. And there's going to be a +2 to the die roll. 8 becomes 10. That's going to be 1 for the attacker and 4 for the defender. So now he's at 6. So, like I said, I don't want to put, got to get some, there's a 6. I don't want to just put the route marker on there yet, because he will get the chance to roll to see if he can stand his ground. So here we have, what I say, 10 is 1 hit. So that unit will be now at 3. And I also have to roll to see if the leader is wounded during the fight. And no, got to roll a 0. Okay, so now we move to the next, and they're still engaged here. These units are engaged. Rolled a 7. That's 2 and 3. Okay, so now this one here is at 7. And this one is at 3. Okay. Next. I rolled a 2, which is going to be 2 and 2. So they're at 6. They're at 3. Okay. So now here, five, 2 and 2. So they're both going to be at 4. Okay, got a 4, which is 2 and 2. So we've got let's see, they're going to be at 6. They're going to be at 4. Okay, so this one here, we've got a roll for TQ checks for both this one and this one. So we've got 2 attackers, but this and this both have to check TQ. So we got a 5 for the Spartan unit, and we got a 9 for the Athenian unit. Now, we can go ahead and mark this one with a route marker because they're going to be attacked in the flank. So that position of superiority is going to go ahead and already determine that unit has to withdraw, has to retreat. So we can just go ahead and flip this unit over or turn it around and put a route marker on it. Where's the route marker? There it is. Okay. And we can remove that. We can remove this. And we don't have to roll for that. Okay. So next. Oh, we got to check TQ. This unit was engaged here, but they're just going to be engaged there now. So we got 7 and 3. So this unit takes 2 hits. So they are at 5 at the present time. Okay. And then here, which I need to check that because maybe they go ahead and I have to go ahead and roll to see if they route. So on the TQ, let's see, let me find it. The other thing I didn't realize is with the TQ checks, if the attacker, okay, die roll is higher than their TQ, the unit will not shock attack and incurs 1 cohesion hit. I don't remember. Maybe that's a rule that I've always overlooked. Or maybe it's something new. Anybody remember that rule? It's right here under pre-shock resolution TQ checks. And this has to do with the attacker. Okay, if the die roll is higher than the TQ, the unit will not shock attack and incurs 1 cohesion hit. It's not they're taking as many hits as they're more than their TQ. It's just they just take 1, but they can't attack. Okay. And let's see here. Okay, so, but it says if after the TQ check, if the attacker is still eligible to attack and the defender did not rout, go to the next step. So I guess I would have to roll. That unit's going to rout. So I'd have to roll to see if it stands in place or it routs. So we're talking about this unit right here because they have 5 now. So I guess I'd have to go ahead and roll to see. And the thing is, okay, do they roll, or is it only in shock that? Okay. So it says here in collapse that for a Hoplite phalanx, the only player rolls a die, adding to the die roll the number of cohesion hits. The unit is But it doesn't say anything about, that's in collapse. We're talking about other times. This isn't due to shock. This is, well, it is, but it's not. So that was always another question I had about these phalanxes, because it's the phalanxes that get that saving die roll. And when you look over here, dealing with rout, which that only has to do with route moving. I don't know whether or not the phalanx gets to roll. If they, or say they get attacked, well, that'd be from the rear. I guess they would get the die roll. All right, so we'll give the die roll. And they rolled a 7, which means they're going to rout. That's higher than their TQ. There it is. So they go ahead and route move. So they go 1, 1, 2. So they route move. But we don't get to move that unit in yet. Okay. So here we go. Now we move on to the next one. Oops. What happened here? How come that gets so loose? Thought I tightened it. So here we go. Let's here it is. All right, so just straight up. And they don't have to roll for TQs because they're engaged. They're already engaged. All right, we rolled a 4, and that's going to be 2 and 2. So 4 on one side and 3 on the other. And they're still engaged. So now we pull back. And what we're looking for now is we're looking for the collapse. For the units that, let's see, don't need that. For the units that have collapsed. Okay, so right here we have 6. So this unit here has to roll. And they have a TQ of 6. I rolled a 5. Okay, what that means is they will stay in place, but they will have a TQ. Let's see. Equal to its TQ minus 1. So they will be at 5, but they hold their place. Okay, then we move over to this other unit here that has 6. And they roll. And I rolled a 6. So they pass, and so they go to a 5. And then we have these over here. So this one has a TQ of 6, but they've got a 7 hits. So they're going to have, we're going to add 1 to the die. So we rolled a 6 and add 1, becomes a 7. They rout. So they don't hold their ground. Where are the route markers? Oh. There we go. So they're going to route. We can take that away, this. Okay, and they're going to move 2. 1, 2. And they're routed. And then the last one down here, okay, they just have to pass their morale, which they did. So they are still there at a 5. Okay. Now I can advance units. Okay. And route move units. Okay, so this unit here has to move 1, 2. Okay. And so all right here, this unit is we're gonna wheel like that. Okay, and they have to roll to check their TQ. I rolled a 1. They still have to take 1 TQ check hit though. So they are at 3. All right, so this unit, this is the hex. So they could go to here, or they could wheel. If they wheel, they're going to take a hit. So they're just going to go like that. Okay. And this unit, I guess, just has to move into this hex here, like that. And they have to check to see if they route. They are 1. Let's see, they were 1 away. So this unit here, I didn't roll for them, but I guess they won. The other side routed, so they would be like they are, but they would advance like so. Okay. We're not having both route. That would be enough. Okay. So we know that the Athenians are going to get the next activation. And presently, they have 1, 2, 3, 4 units that are routing, which means after this activation, those are going to be route points, because those hoplite units, they don't route move like other units. They're just going to be gone. So you're looking at, well, that's only 5, but the rest of these are 6s. So that's 18, That's 23. So that's half of the route points. So, and they're close to so many of the others that, you know, and they're going to have to fight. Wherever they're engaged, they're going to have to fight. So really the only units that are going to be able to really move and do anything is over here. You know, they're going to be able to route maybe this one unit here, but that's going to be probably about it. This one here has to keep running, so they've got to turn to find somebody to fight, to attack. So, and the other thing is, I didn't roll. When a unit runs, you have to roll to see if they take TQ hits. And all of these units, I didn't do that. That's another rule that sometimes I forget. Is when the unit is running, at the end of its move, it has to roll to see if it takes any TQ hits. So I didn't do that on either side. So we'll just call it even. So the next activation mark is, of course, the Athenian momentum. And they can't do anything about these routed hoplite units. The overall commander would only be able to really, I guess, I think he has to be stacked. I don't know, maybe if they're within command range. Let's see. Has to do with rallying. So he could do a rally. Let's see, where's it at? Yeah, rally. A player may attempt to rally routed units whose command is under rally orders. A routed unit is eligible for rally if in command and within range of its formation commander and in clear terrain and not adjacent to an enemy unit nor within range and line of sight of an enemy missile that is able to fire effectively. If the die roll is the same as or lower than the formation commander's charisma or the overall commander or capability rating, okay, the unit is rallied. The player then rolls a die again and halves this die roll. If this result is the same or more, let's see. If this die roll is the same or more than the unit's TQ, the unit is eliminated. Otherwise, the unit's cohesion hits is equal to the result. If the die roll is higher than that leader's rating, the unit is eliminated if it's a hoplite phalanx, or if that die roll is also higher than the unit's TQ. Okay. But, okay, a hoplite phalanx must either maintain its current facing, okay, where does it talk about? Okay, in the route movement segment of Phase D, all routed hoplite phalanx units are eliminated. Phase D. Oh, okay. So yeah, see, a hoplite phalanx does not get to continue to move. So now he has a range of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now this unit, because he's in the front hex of a unit, he couldn't. But he could attempt to rally this unit. But in order to do that, he would have to just do a rally command and not move or anything. Rally order. But I don't know, with this, do they have to keep running? They got to keep advancing? I guess it's only if they move. You know, I don't think I moved the Hoplite. I don't think I moved these guys on the end. Yeah, I did.